and welcome to the podcast. I'm Risa.
I'm Ariana.
And we're the Krolmeister sisters. As a reminder, this podcast is rated T for teen for strong language and mature themes.
Don't like that? Well, tough titty beans. Or not, whatever. If you want wholesome Nancy Drew podcastery, head on over to Tammy Tucky's own podcast, Unlocked, where she talks to people about things.
And stuff.
And a ton of stuff, I'm sure.
Probably. Mostly Nancy Drew.
We'll be real, it's a blind transfer, but you know.
But we want to support. Yeah, so what are we talking? I'm like, I don't know where to go from there.
Receptionist phraseology, and I'm really sad.
I'm sorry, sister. Ow. It's okay. I'm going to start talking like I'm talking to children again. That stopped happening as much on stream recently, but I'm gonna go back to work, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, friends, how's it going? So, what are we talking about today, sister?
Today we are talking about Nancy Drew Out of Time.
Oh, see, that's a much better name. Yep. So yeah, we, a couple months ago, we got this topic suggested by one of our patrons, Melted Joan Cusack, who asked us to talk about, oh man, I had it open. I was going to quote it, and then I forgot. So,
Risa just kind of forgot about the notes.
Yeah.
That's a fucking...
I was thinking about why Secret of the Old Clock's 1930 thing feels so dumb, and I think part of it is poor execution, and part of it is because it's so dissimilar to the rest of the games. So I wondered, what would the other games be like in the 30s, 40s, or honestly any time period you see fit? So we came up with 4 games, and we put them in different eras, and how we would change it to work it in, and I think we came up with some great ones.
I think so too.
To be quite honest.
I'm stoked for this one.
Yeah, we're gonna do the time warp
again.
Yeah.
I do it during the week, so you know.
So the first one I came up with was Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon, but make it Agatha Christie. So it's being set in the 20s instead. I'm thinking like early Poirot kind of style of storytelling. Mm-hmm. So 1920s. And here's how I would change the characters. So Charlena is going to be the author insert character, much like Ariadne Oliver in the Poirot novels. So she's there and she's spending the entire time afar, wanting to help solve what's going on so she could use it for research for her book, which is kind of what's going on anyway in the story of it being, you know, wanting to use the Jake Hurley. Not Jade Harley.
Oh no!
Jake Hurley. She's trying to use all of that stuff for a romance novel anyway, but in this version, it's going to be, she's actually more like interested in what Nancy's doing and is also kind of helping her along the way. Because obviously, it's the 1920s. She can't just call up George and Bess and be like, hey, can you Google this for me?
Right.
She can't do that. So instead, she's going to use Charlena, who knows a lot about all of this already. Laurie Gerard is a flapper. I'm thinking like, I'm seeing her in an outfit much like, God, what's that character? Daisy, what's her name? In Great Gatsby? The movie version? Yeah, that's the kind of look I'm going for. What is the, I'm not going to get stuck on this. John Gray is a physicist who's trying to see if he can...
Thank you, Nickel the Pickle. Sorry. That was going to drive me crazy.
It was. Same. But, John Gray is a scientist. He is a physicist, and he's trying to see if he can prove the existence of ghosts for his thesis. You know? So he's He's trying. That's what he's there for. He's like, if ghosts are involved, this would be great for my thesis. I like the idea of him being like an academic type, because that's kind of what he exudes in a way.
Yeah, he likes to try to, at least, they try to make it sound like he thinks he's attempting to debunk things.
Yeah.
It doesn't come across very well. It comes across weird, but that is in my version what he's supposed to be trying to do. So,
yes. So, in this version, he is. Tino never got drafted into World War I, so instead he joined the police to try and, like, serve, you know? But he's not very good at it, and he's an idiot, so he's just worse than Inspector Japp. So he's just bad at his job. He's just straight up bad at his job, no matter what. And then Nancy and the Hardys are still just teen detectives, you know? And Laurie Gerard renovated the train to make it Art Deco. I need this to be said. Everything is Art Deco.
Yes.
It's fantastic, and I love it, and it's like her entire area is. So, great thing about trying to set this one in the past is that it already, like, the mystery itself is about something that happens in 1908. So that's still something that in the 1920s, we don't really have to change that very much. I would want to set it a little earlier, though. Mm-hmm. Maybe like 1888, 1889, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, just a little bit earlier so that there's enough of a difference in time that it does feel like, oh, I kind of heard about that at one point, but I just forgot about it. But maybe even just like, because just like 20 years would be great, because what I really want is for like Nancy to do like the dancing thing, right? I want it to be like she's asking everyone on the train about the actual, like, have you ever heard of this step? And I want Charlene to be like, oh, I haven't danced that since I was a teenager, you know? And then she teaches it to Nancy. I think that would be fun.
I like that.
So.
I like that a lot.
I love that idea, you know? And then everything else can pretty much stay the same.
Yeah.
Like, the Buell stuff, like, we wouldn't have we could have kind of like an assembly line going on with the taffy and everything, but it's just not quite the same. But, we could do it with some kind of candy, you know? I think the Fatima stuff, that could all...
Yeah, I think we could do...
Yeah.
Separating the taffy. That's...
Yeah. And then, like, the only thing, instead of it being, like, the really, really old guy in the cheeseburger place, instead they're just, like, following a dude to figure stuff out. Instead of the weirdness of every time I ring the bell.
Yeah.
When it reminds him of something and he talks about something from the past, that was weird. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. But the whole, like, cemetery bit could also stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of that fits fine.
Yeah. Because the whole thing is it's like a ghost town anyway, so.
Exactly. So that's how I would put Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon into the 1920s.
That sounds good. Okay. I'll go next.
Yes.
Mine is Stay Tuned for Danger in the 1980s. Because the 1980s, for those of you who aren't really, you know, aware of the subculture that is soap opera, that was its prime. It was in its fucking prime. The hair was never bigger. The shoulder pads never broader.
And sharper.
And the collars never bigger. Anything that you think of when you think of like those over-the-top 80s outfits, that's just because of soap operas. So yeah, that would be a great time to set it. So, let's see. So one of the details that I'd like to add is I would like there to be 80s music in the cabs instead of racist cabbies, or, racist portrayals of cabbies.
Yeah.
So yeah, just get some 80s sounding tunes. They don't even have to be real. They can totally be like,
yeah.
One of your sound guys just makes it in GarageBand. I don't care.
Isn't that basically what the music in Midnight in Salem sounds like?
You can get Nancy's husband to make it. That's fine.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that would be a delightful touch. Also, oh my god, in the lobby, the music would be great. Anyway, so basically everything would be 80s-ified to the max. So let's see, what are some other details? Maddie's apartment would be super vogue with modern art, like 80s art, so a lot of black and white, angular, semi-androgynous women. And there would also definitely be a party there, and I think that would be a better time to have the ticking box.
Yes. That would be so much more dramatic.
Just story-wise. Like, I get that wouldn't have worked at the time when they made Stay Tuned for Danger, but, like... Yeah.
Oh, and then there's canapes that Nancy can just cram, like, 5 in her mouth. You can just eat the canapes. It's like puff pastry with, like, peas in it or something. And, like, crab dip. I don't know. Every time I watch something that's set in the 80s and there is a party of some kind, they have, like, fucking, like, those puff pastry horn things with, like, salmon in it or something. And it's like, why? Continue.
We just got a problem with 80s movie parties. Okay, so Lillian gets a fucking rad, like, professional woman vibe. She's got that like, short but, like, sort of spiked slightly toward the, Aunt Vicky's hair. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, yes.
It's just, like, and kind of toss it, and I wouldn't mind, like, a nice little dangly single earring. But otherwise, suited professional woman. She's, very, And she would also have a lot to say about feminism and equal treatment for trans and queer people, because this is New York in the 80s, and my version of Nancy Drew Games isn't so fucking conservative. So...
there's an ACT UP sticker in Lillian's office.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. She's got, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like punk turned corporate, and and I love it. So anyway, I picture, I forgot, because I put it up there. Oh no, okay. Rick Arlen. Sorry. Rick Arlen is your generic 80s douchebag. Like, he's dressed like he's from Miami Vice. He is also, like, I want him to not be so creepy, just aggressive, like just full of himself. I want it to be more of a toxic masculinity, like, presenting sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, like he says he and Lillian dated, and she's like, we did not date. It's like, he likes to pretend he's womanizers because all the ladies like him. He cannot talk to a woman worth shit. But, yeah, so there's that. Dwayne is a Gordon Gekko wannabe, with, like, yeah, that's really all I can say about him. I like how we didn't go anywhere into Maddie's, like, it was just, like, her apartment. This is what's important. her apartment.
Yeah.
Millie started the studio in the 40s because she was the daughter of a media tycoon who thought he was just humoring his modern daughter. I will love this Millie because they think she's crazy, but she's just eccentric and wants people to not suspect the genius that lies beneath the facade. Because I don't want to have this crazy old woman who can't tell fact from fiction. No thanks, bye.
You're just going to replace her with Hilda Swinton?
A little bit. Like, it's going to be like she plays up a little bit. Like, she likes to call them their character names, but she doesn't actually think that's who they are. But she kind of acts like it because it's a joke to her.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I don't really think those things. I'm just fucking with him. I know his name's Rick Arlen.
It's like that Ron Swanson bit where, you know, they're getting a little too chummy. I call him the wrong name.
Yes. Oh, so good. Anyway, but Ralph is pretty much unchanged. So, but yeah, the plot would be
the guard Guardino.
Ralph the Guard Guardino. But yeah, the plot would be essentially the same, but you know, treated better. And there would be 80s infusions in the dialogue and the details. There will be a lot of opinions on unions because then we can casually work in historical stuff about like how the Reagan administration was super anti union, and like Ralph's gonna be in like a security guard union, and the everyone on set's gonna be in SAG, and like so that's gonna be a topic of discussion, and then maybe we'll hear like I would like that. I'd like that little touch.
Yeah.
It's appropriate. But yeah, so
especially with soap operas, didn't they have an issue? Didn't they go through something where they were hiring non-union actors so that they didn't have to pay the proper...
They were trying to like work around it. Like they were trying to reclassify themselves or whatever. Yeah. It was,
I can't remember. But yes, can't remember that at least that would be happening in this game.
Yes, it would.
We can also make up the past for interactive.
We can.
Because we don't do it in a racist way. Okay, yeah. So. Is that it for Stay Tuned for
That's it for Stay Tuned for
Yeah, okay. And so my next one was Midnight in Salem, but it's at the height of the Satanic Panic in the early 90s. So, yay. I just think that works really well, in my opinion.
It does.
Because, like, for me, it's like well, first off, in this version, May skateboards. That doesn't it doesn't affect the story, but she skateboards.
Hold on. Chat brings up something that I think is a good reason that this game should take place during the Satanic Panic. Please enlighten chat what the Satanic Panic was.
So, it was a lot. But partially there was this huge scandal going on that a bunch of child abuse was happening in preschools and daycares. And this was revealed in the late 80s. And it became a huge conspiracy that it wasn't pedophilia or anything. It was satanic rituals that these children were being used for. Like that was this huge thing.
It was them devil worshippers trying to corrupt the children and perform their rituals.
Exactly, and make them gay and stuff like that. So, that big conspiracy theory, then the satanic church basically showed up at about the time, Church of Satan is what it's called, showed up somewhere around when all of this was happening.
Yep.
And so people started freaking out, and they were thinking stuff like the D&D.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah.
They thought D&D was going to cause people to turn to worshiping Satan.
Yes.
All sorts of stuff. But that also, then, because of that happening, young people, there was more of a rise in that neo-pagan Wiccan stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because it, like, as a direct
because the 80s
response.
happened.
Yeah. So, a direct response. And so that was, like, a huge thing. Yeah. So, I think that works really well for Midnight in Salem for what it is. Because,
absolutely.
like, I like the idea that the original fire that happened before, like, it happened during the height of all of that. Like, because, her name's not Jenna. Olivia, Tegan, and
I wouldn't have been able to help you.
Lauren. Yes.
Even though it's written right there.
Not Jenna. Not Jenna. Oh my god, you're right. I did write it down. So Lauren, Olivia, and Tegan were, like, super they, like, had their own coven and everything, which that's canon. Mm-hmm. But it was, like, they were all, like, goth and into it and stuff. And it was their, like, messing around and sticking it to their parents kind of a thing, right? They're just going out there with some candles and stuff and, like, saying words. Like, that's all they were doing.
Like all teenage girls do.
It's true. But then when that fire happens and, you know, May takes the rap for it and everything, everyone just kind of assumes then in who knows them is that May has been just like, she's been dealing with Satan and worshiping Satan and everything. And that's why this child burned down a building. Mm-hmm. So now that people just have it in their heads that that's who she is. And so then when the Hathorn house burns down, everyone's like, she's doing it for her rituals. Mm-hmm. And then it actually ties in more with the witch trials.
And I also like that idea because especially since they are, they're Paris or Perry?
Yeah.
Paris?
Yeah, well, they're Perry, but they're
Perry, which is descendants of Paris.
They changed it or whatever.
And, you know, they were like, God damn it. Their ancestor fucking headed the witch trials.
Exactly.
And so to have one of his descendants be called a witch is nutso, and I want it.
Yeah. And then, I think a very important thing, though, is that, Alicia is then still the bad guy, and she's just a big town lawyer gal.
Your typical 90s children's movie villain.
Yeah,
because they're always going to be a like property mogul.
Exactly. Yeah. She's a girl boss. Do you think that she effectively utilized her girl power by drugging a woman and trying to sell her land? Okay, I think I need to be done with this one now.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I think it would be fantastic, especially since the quack trials are kind of where people started to get, like, that's like the beginnings of the Satanic Panic. Is like the end of that, and all of, like, it took a while for that to happen, but it was like that huge, like, we need an enemy kind of a thing going on. So I think that
the commies aren't cutting it anymore.
Exactly. Okay. So, and that's Midnight in Salem, but it's the 90s.
So the last one, mine, is Alibi in Ashes, but it's the summer of 1976. So 76, and for those of you who listen to us in other countries for some reason,
we're charting. How are you doing this?
What?
Hi, Russia. What's going on?
What is happening?
Do you need help?
You guys okay?
Like, you cool?
No, but for the summer of 76, it was America's 200th anniversary, and every American was suddenly the most patriotic, and it was a fucking nightmare. Like, I cannot imagine living through it just because it's a lot. Like, just seeing everything from then. Anyway, so the puzzle hunt is a small part of the American Bicentennial. The old town hall is being turned into an American history museum in time for 4th of July. So Nancy is being accused of not only hating her town, but hating America. Yeah. So shit's getting real in River Heights. Let's see. Carson is not out of town because it's fucking stupid. Anyway, he also can't.
In our version, he's a present father.
Yes. Well, he'd be around because it's like, yeah, it's a big fucking celebration, and in my version, he's very dedicated to the town. So he is also on the planning committee for this event that they're having for the 4th of July. And but however, he also can't get her out of there because the chief hates Carson, and also Nancy constantly shows him up. So he's like, fuck the Drews. So also in this, when Carson is at the, like, he's trying to get things ready, and like he tells us that they're treating him like he's, a pariah. Sorry, I lost the word for a second. They're treating him like he's a pariah, which enables him to actually understand what he helped put Alexi through. Yeah. And so I would like a nice little, like, reconciliation between them in the epilogue. The Dear Hannah section. Hannah, you weren't here, so I wrote down everything that happened for you. Because you went to spend the 4th of July with your family in California. I don't know. She's got a sister who moved out there because, her husband can't take the cold back east. Anyway, okay. Tony is using the patriotic outpour to sell her ice cream. So there's going to be a lot of, like, she's going to have, oh, you want the Paul Revere special? It's going to have a rum raisin. And so, yeah. She also is large. So she's making that to sell her ice cream and also to be her platform for being, she's still running. That's all still going forward. She's also running on the platform of saving the museum because there are a lot of protests going on of, like, students in at River Heights University. They're protesting because they're like, that's not what happened. You guys are sanitizing American history. And so, we can kind of maybe, work in a little bit of that. If nothing else, they've proven that they want to try to do crowds. Let's give them crowds.
Yeah, and then they'll T-pose while they're protesting.
One of them will, like, have their arm up and there's, like, the sign coming out of their head, but it's moving in time with the arm. And so it's just, what was I saying? Oh, but yeah.
I'm sorry.
But so she's using that as, see, now more than ever, we need to be patriotic Americans, and we need to teach our children the history of our forefathers, or founding fathers, rather. And so the reason she and George don't get along is because George, who hasn't realized she wants to be an engineer yet, has been very into history in college. And so she knows, like, she's 1970s woke. So yeah, I like that idea because I feel like 70s George would definitely be like into protesting and stuff. I think she'd definitely be a cause girl. She fights for everything she believes in, and I dig it. Alexei, let's go into his story. Alexei became a child detective because his older brother, who died in World War II, used to read old noir novels to him. So he was into it because it was what he and his big brother did, and like every big brother in anything that takes place during World War II, he died. Lots of people died, guys. And since his family came to America, fleeing Germany just in the nick of time, his parents had strong German accents, and so they were treated as the enemy after the war. Never mind the fact that because I researched his name, and it is of Croatian origin, but there were like so that he would have been rounded up during the Holocaust. Anyway, but that's because that's how, and that's going to be something he's bitter about, like how that's how blind everybody was. It was just, oh, let's find the people that we can focus our hate on, you know?
Yeah. Ariana's stuff is all like, let's talk about political stuff in that time period. And my stuff is like, yeah, and the aesthetic.
Well, I really got into this one. I don't know why I did, but I did. I researched the history of his family's name, Markovic, which means that he's actually like got Roman descent. Because anyway, so his parents were just constantly harassed, and so him being the best and the brightest, the golden boy, the one who solved everyone's problems, kind of eased that pressure on his parents. And so that was another reason that it was so important to him and why it broke him when everybody turned, because he was doing it largely to ingratiate his family. And then suddenly there they were in the shit again. And he was branded a communist, and for, exposing corruption in local government. They easily spun it as, oh, of course you're saying that. You're just a communist. And the small-minded people of River Heights suspect him of burning the place down out of hatred for America. Oh, well, no, I forgot to finish Brenda and Deirdre.
Who cares?
Yeah, whatever. It was all gonna be in that. Maybe I'll turn this one into a fan fiction.
Okay,
just a little like writing exercise.
Yeah.
You know how my fan fictions always start as a little writing exercise and then grow into like a several 100,000 word story.
Of course.
Oh yeah, Deirdre is still gay.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our, I don't know how to describe what we just did.
Nancy Drew Out of Time. Just call it that. That's our Nancy Drew's Out of Times.
That's our Nancy Drew's Out of Times.
You'll notice we barely focused on Nancy Drew in any of these scenarios and instead focused on everything around Nancy Drew.
She is the audience insert, okay? Player insert, whatever. So yeah, that's ours. We'd love to hear your guys' Nancy's Out of Timeses.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the captioning. It is not going great. There was something about teachers.
But yes, tell us yours on our, oh man, I didn't open up the other thing. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and our fancy website, krolmeistersisters.knifefightclub.com.
You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spoofify. And in those places, you can your sister stuck my flightclub.com. Sorry. Captioning's the best. Okay. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. And in those places, you can tell us to get our shit together and stop making podcasts like this.
I honestly, who knows? Y'all like the weirdest things.
Yeah, y'all are crazy.
We love you for it.
Yes.
If you would like to support us, you can subscribe to us over on Twitch to get access to our cute little wine glass emote, our Scopa emote, our Sister No emote. God, I need to stop just listing all of them. And at tier 2, our Peace Out emote. You also get access to Podcast Night VODs and the backer channel on our Discord. Or you could support us over on patreon.com/Krolmeister Sisters to get access to Podcast Night VODs, stream cat pictures, backer channel on our Discord, and you can tell us what to talk about, just like this episode that you're listening to right now.
So, yeah, give us more of that.
Yeah. So, as a reminder, I'm Marisa.
Mariana.
And we're the Krolmeister Sisters, and we're asking you guys to stay sleuthy.